Hoogan's hotter than hot pot.
Yeah, don't adjust your eyes, fellas. Pharaohs. It's Hoogan cough cough. Yes, I'm in a frog suit. No, you cannot pull this off. Let's get it down.
Okay, let's go.
To the park, green fleece on my back. Velcro into the chin, yeah, I'm carrying the track. Right, please slow. Tail wagging to the snare. All the alphas looking mad, but I really do not care. See a Doberman flexing, trying to guard his little clique. I just hop over a puddle, leave him looking mighty sick. You a basic brown mutt. I'm a neon amphibian. Stepping in the dog club, changing the meridian. Your bark is kind of loud, but your bite is just a joke. I don't even got to growl. I just hit him with the croak.
That's my voice.
Hop up, make way for Hoogan. Green suit on, yeah, I'm wildin', I'm proving. Your boy's looking tragic, my swagger is magic. I'm taking your bitches, it's honestly classic. Yeah, I said it, the fattest to hear me, God. Leave your boys to the least, got them living large. Yeah, walk past the water bowl, give a little wink. Got a poodle and a bug, both offering a drink. Your boyfriends are sniffing each other's jump out of tree. Thought these bitches want a prince, well I'm the green prince of funk. Got a Frenchie on my left, got a husky on my right. I'm looking so fly, I'm looking out of sight. I'm a cold-blooded killer in a warm-blooded body, rolling through the dog park, turning it into a party. Y'all are chasing tennis balls. I'm chasing finer things like a reservation for two, fit for a frog king. Pop, make way for Hoogan. Green suit on, yeah, I'm wildin', I'm proving. Your boy's looking tragic, my swagger is magic. I'm taking your bitches, it's honestly classic. Yeah, sudden, the fattest to them in y'all. Leave the horns on release, got him living yards. I want to mention Marcus, cause he's on this track. I'm flying, I'm floating like Shaq. I know for a fact I'm not on Epstein's list. I got my own feel with the bitches I kiss. I ain't got ticks, my DJ's beat matching. I ain't got fleas, that's my DJ that's scratching. I got mojo, I got swagger, I strut right past you. Dog, you just a silly mutt. Bitches be thirsty, I'm a man's nightmare. The Dow was at 50, so I don't care.
I don't remember signing on to this. I was once inside Hoogan until Dad gave him his heart on notice.
Make way for Hoogan. Green suit on, yeah, I'm wildin', I'm proving. Your boys looking tragic, my swagger is magic. I'm taking your bitches, it's honestly classic. Yeah, sudden, the fight us to limit line. Me the boy, you're the least, let him live it large. Yeah. Shout out to Dad in the Pharaoh chat. Ernie, Birdie, Mitty, Claudia, Tip, Darlene. Wish I could fit everyone into this song. Yeah, Amra, Tish, Toms, Steven, Satan, damn it, Kevin. You
wrong.
Ladies, you don't gotta get all bent. Hoogan's more fresh than 50 Cent. You might not think he's nifty, but Hoogan don't count. So John Jones at 50, we out.
He said it. We out. You know, it's been a long time since we've heard Hoogan on the woof. I'm gonna break Proto right now. All right, I'm breaking Proto so we can hear Hoogan on the roof. Are you guys cool with that? AKA Hoogan on the woof. Big boy, get on the roof. You guys ready? We'll do that. We'll do that for a second because I want to hear it. And this is by Derek, by the way. And if you guys want to follow Derek, I'm going to put his info up right now. Derek Carney. He's in here a lot. We love him. We adore him. We thank him for his musical contributions. In addition to Turd, Big Turd, Melissa, anybody else who contributes to the channel, I greatly appreciate it. And I love looking at this picture of Hoogan. But boy, howdy, if you look at our thumbnail yesterday, you'll see the best picture that's ever been taken of Hoogan. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the thumbnail from yesterday's live, that's how Hoogan sleeps. That is what he looks like when he sleeps. He sleeps like the fucking Undertaker, and it's wild. I do have I think a zesty show tonight. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about in both true crime, pop culture, but most importantly, weird AMAs on Reddit about niche Austin businesses, in particular Pleasure's strip club. But it's not really a strip club. It's more of a place that nobody knows what happens inside. And there are stories, okay? There are stories about what happens inside of Pleasures. And I'll show you a picture of it in a minute. It's a tiny pink building. It says Pleasures on it. It is in a very weird spot right off the highway. I've lived here 20 years, and every time I've passed it with a male friend of mine, they have told me a different story about what happened to them or a friend of theirs at Pleasures. And I say male because it's typically men only, I believe. I was told by several people that it's one of those places where like one chick like finger bangs herself, and then there's like a glass panel, and then there's someone on the other side watching, like a spank shack or something, a jack shack. I've also been told that it's just like a regular strip club, and I've also been told that it's a place where people are trafficked and a place where consensual ladies of the night perform. I've been told all kinds of things. And somebody who used to work there just did an AMA on Reddit, which means ask me anything. And they said, you know, I worked at Pleasures, ask me anything. And it's gone viral for the responses. Not just in Austin, but like nationally, like all over Reddit, especially because how does this business operate? Now, I've always asked that because I've heard, like I said, some crazy stories about it. I can't even say them because I will get kicked off YouTube, but I promise you, I've heard some of them are terrifying. ASL? Are you trying to cyber with me, just a crazy Jen? Also, how are you doing? How's your singing pickle? How are the kids? How is life? And for all of you, Laura's out there saving Hoogans every day. Every damn day. I need to scroll up and read the chat, but it looks like, did you find a new Hoogan, Laura? Huh? Did you? Who was talking about me on Twitter today? Good. Unless it's bad, then I don't care. If it was bad, I don't care. If it was good, then good. But I will say this. We have an interesting AMA to go over. Update with Pat. He's out of the hole. All right. The video's still going viral of him in the hole. And I couldn't be more proud of a friend of mine for finally getting success. And the success that he has gotten came from falling in a hole. So shout outs to the city of Austin for launching Pat into fame. We're also going to probably check out that crazy Melania speech if we have time. But mostly what I'd like to talk about, a couple of things. The Hooker family. And no, I don't mean that how it sounds. There was a family whose last name is Hooker. Brian and Lynette Hooker. They were a couple that went to the Bahamas. They've broken up and gotten back together several times. And they went to the Bahamas. They're older. They, I believe, are retired. And they've been boating. And somehow Lynette ends up overboard and swept out to sea. And somehow Brian is on the shore. And he's like, well, she's gone now. And he claims that she fell off a dinghy and took the keys. Now, Ashley Banfield, who proclaimed loudly that she knows everything about boating. She's a boater. She's been boating her whole life. And I said, is that why you tried to hook up with Epstein? Anyway, she called bullshit. And I noticed a lot of boaters calling bullshit. Now, I don't know anything about boats or dinghies. I thought a dinghy was just a dummy, like a dumbass. I didn't realize it's a dumbass boat. But there's arguments about the keys and about the story. But I saw something it stopped me in my tracks, and it made me say, hey, why am I on tracks? Am I a train? But also, well, now I'm thinking about trains. I might have a little tism. The point is, I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, the weirdest thing about this case is the text messages this guy whose wife disappeared sent to his friend and to her daughter, because she had a daughter with a different guy. And this dude sends his, I guess, technically daughter-in-law if they were married. I still can't figure out if they were married or dating, but either way, sends his stepdaughter, if you will, not daughter-in-law, stepdaughter, or, common law stepdaughter, or whatever you call her, some messages to let her know that her mom is gone. And they were very callous and very just like, well, she's gone, and continuing to talk about plans. It's all very strange. So we're going to talk about the hookers and what happens when your husband or boyfriend or common law partner pushes you off of a boat in the Bahamas. Also, I don't want to call it a David update, but there's David news. And since we're following the D4VD David case, I may as well tell you what rumors are going around versus what could be actually news, because much like Nancy Guthrie, it's a situation where TMZ has done good, TMZ has done bad, but it's really hard to tell what's real or not. We're also going to briefly talk about Lisk a little bit. Ray Tierney thinks there's more bodies on the beach. That's news to me. And when asked, why don't you take cadaver dogs out there? He's like, it's expensive, allegedly, is what, we're still looking, but then they go into how much cadaver dogs cost, which is fascinating. And then Brian Enton interviewed Ann Burgess of Mindhunter Glory, the original BAU psychologist who came in and studied serial killers for decades. And he interviewed her about profiling in the Nancy Guthrie case. And I thought some of her answers were pretty awesome, honestly, and interesting. And so I took some notes and I thought I'd go over them with you. And last but not least, we have to talk about some of the Sandra Birchmore stuff. So I will give you the news on all of those topics tonight. This is going to be a kind of true crime overview of the last week or two. Yeah, his twin is also a tool. They both seem to have quite a bit of problems with things like violence towards women. And feeling like they're entitled to having sex with teenage girls. So that's kind of a problem. Grooming, if you will. I also call BS on all of it, C. Smith. Hello, nice to see you. David for Veneer. Yeah, that's what it stands for. So there's a lot to talk about there, and I'm going to tell you everything. For now, let's look at who got on the woof, and then we'll ease into it. Hello, everybody. Happy weekend. I hope you're all doing good. It's Saturday night. I feel all right. Mahjong to all of you. I'm already pissed, says Jen. Good. It's the training that makes them expensive. Who, people or pups? People or pups? Because both. Who get on the woof, y'all?
Hooga nooga nick, hooga nooga nick. Hooga nooga nick, get on the woof. I ain't never seen a hooga get on the woof. I ain't never seen a hooga get on the woof. I ain't never seen a hooga get on the woof. Hooga ain't seen on the woof. Let me see a hooga get on the woof. I ain't never seen a hooga get on the woof. I ain't never seen a hooga get on the woof. Hooga ain't get on the woof. I ain't never seen a hooga get on the woof. I ain't never seen a hooga get on the woof. I ain't never seen a hooga get on the woof. I ain't never seen a hooga get on the woof. Let me see a hooga get on the woof. I ain't never seen a Mac bird watching no beat. Piggyback, get on the roof. Brian, Albert, get on the roof. Meatball, Marcus, ain't get on the roof. Let me see an old judge, get on the roof. I ain't never seen Jim McKay spit out a tooth. Paula Keith ain't climbing on the roof. He's in the bathroom trying to boof. How you do it like a selfie? Damn, he got no shame, truth. Climbing on the roof. I ain't never seen Coffin Depper get on the roof. I ain't never seen Grant Ellis get on the roof. Oh shit, Auntie Bay get on the roof. Oh shit, Higgins get on the roof. I ain't never seen Colin get on the roof.
And we pause it at Hot Colin, AI Hot Colin. That's right. That's Colin. He's AI though. And AI, it's like one of the rare times where it makes someone, what do you call it? Tolerable. We'll say that. Not identical? Oh, well, good. Then that changes all of my thoughts on it. I was very concerned with how they were going to parse out the DNA. As long as they're not identical, then that should be easy then. Well, you just saved me a lot of stress. I'm still mad, but good. Like I said, I'm still learning about that case, though. I was very concerned at the idea that they're twins. If it was identical, that would be a fuck storm. But it's not so great. Fantastic. He's hot because he can't talk. Oh, yes. Oh, you're talking about cadaver dog. Yes. That was one of the things he was talking about. Now, one of the other things that Tierney said was that, they're not going to, like, I guess he said something about they're not going to say, hey, don't take your cadaver, like basically private people who privately own cadaver dogs or who want to donate their time to searching on the beach. They're not going to say don't, And it makes me think right away of Galen and how I need to email her. I wonder if Galen would be interested in going out there. Because I also think, like Tierney, that there are more bodies out there. A lot of people think that, especially people who have worked on the case for a long time. And I thought that Anne had some interesting things to say about both cases, but also Catherine Ramsland commented on it as well. It's very, very interesting. You talk about boofing your medication or your dogs? Because I know that for some dogs, they put everything in suppository form for some stuff. Now, I will say everything for some stuff. That makes no fucking sense, Cat. They do make weedable boofs or boofable weeds. You could take a suppository that has THC in it and stick it up your ass. How do I know that? Because as a comic, people gift you a lot of things. And because my boyfriend works at a comedy club, he gets gifted a lot of things. And people will sometimes gift you things that you're like, hey, what's this? Then you get home and you look at it and you go, oh, I put it in my ass. Good. Thank you. So I know you can stick weed up your ass now. Am I missing out? Says Just a Crazy Jen. Maybe. I don't know. No comment. I plead the fifth. That's the dream, Tish. One day I'm going to save up money. I'm going to go to Gilgo and I'm going to magnet fish. And I'm going to see what I can find. That's genius. And I do have that metal detector. What if we could get Galen out at Gilgo Beach, and I'll be out there with my metal detector? Would you guys join me? That would be fun. You're amazing and wonderful. Story of my life, too. I'm always late. Don't boof, says Ernie. Well, mind your business, Ernie. We can put things in our butt if we want. My uncle was refilling his meds, and I said, just be glad you don't have to put them up your butt. Just be sad you don't have to put them up your butt. You can stick anything up your ass. The problem is with getting it back out again. That's a good point. Although you could just push and squeeze. Like you're pushing out a fort. I will drive down the 4 hours and meet you guys. You guys want to go? Let's go to Gilgo Beach. You can use my metal detector, Ernie. Hello, Glitter is Forever. It's so nice to see you. How are you doing, hun? How's you doing? 25 pills a day? Is he Wendy Williams? Who is your uncle? Oh my God. That's a lot. I mean, if it helps, I guess. That's shit. That's a lot. Is he okay? You know what? HIPAA. Don't answer that. But also, damn. Good for him being able to handle. Having to boof 25 pills a day that's some grinder shit. You'd have to grind it up. But then there's a ship in the bottle problem. That is hilarious. My cousin's visiting me. He's a few feet away right now in the living room. His mother once told me something when I was a child that has stuck with me my entire life. And I still tell people this. When I was a teenager, really, I was preteen. And I had my first serious boyfriend that wasn't gay. And I wasn't fucking or anything. Like I was a preteen. You know what I mean? Like I was into church. But she took it upon herself to give me a little talk. And she said, have you had the talk with your mom yet? And I said, yeah. She's like, what'd she tell you? And I told her. And then she said, well, I'd like to reiterate. I'd like to add something to that. And just let you know to be careful. And remember one thing, because I thought she was going to talk to me about condoms or something. And she said that making a baby is like putting a straw in a cup. Having the baby is like trying to put the cup through the straw. And that has stuck with me my entire life. And I don't have kids. So there you go. There you go. So now it's time for our morning prayer. And then I've got, even though it's night, and then I've got some stuff to tell you about and show you, which we've already gone over, what we're going to talk about today. But I think the important thing right now is that we say our prayers and that we remember that we're very lucky to be Americans and to have Dow. And that the Dow is...
Trump, the Dow right now is over, the Dow is over $50,000.
I don't know why you're laughing, Raskin. I know how you love trading stock. God damn it, Pam. Also, I don't know if you guys bowl, but if you do, don't forget. Okay. So now that you know that, it's time for the prayer. Also, I do need to figure out what's been going on with Pastor Joe Nelms. Is he still alive? Is he okay? I know that we know about his hot wife and his kids, but did he diddle kids or anything? Because all the mega church pastors are now getting busted. They're getting busted, especially in Texas. You had 3 C-sections, Laura? How many afterbirth did you have, hon? You know the limit is 2. Don't be greedy, Laura.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for all your blessings. You said in all things, give thanks. So we want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords, and most of all, we thank you for Roush and Yates partnering to give us the power that we see before us tonight. Thank you for GM Performance Technology and the R07 engines. Thank you for Sunoco Racing Fuel and Goodyear tires that bring performance and power to the track. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa.
Eli and Emma,
my 2
or as
children,
I like
Eli
to call
and
them,
Emma,
the little
or as we
E's.
like to call them, the little E's. Lord, I pray you bless the drivers and use them tonight. May they put on a boogity, boogity, boogity.
Saying boogity, 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 amen. Excellent. In Jesus' name, boogity, 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 amen. Okay. So there's that. Also, I know you guys are talking about abs and babies and stuff, but did you guys see that woman who she claims she went in for a mommy makeover, which I guess is just getting your tummy tucked or something, which I don't know why they call it a tummy tuck. They should call it a tummy slit you open, suck the fat out, and then close it back up. But I guess tummy tuck is shorter. This woman, she went in for a tummy tuck. She's a mom influencer. And which I don't even know what that means. Is she like influencing people? What do mom influencers do? Are they like have more babies, don't have babies? Is it like a Ruby Frankie thing? Do they teach you how to make a bento box? Like, what the fuck is that? Anyway, she goes in for a tummy tuck. She's very nervous about it. She got a really good doctor. And the doctor said that even though he, she couldn't afford the tummy tuck surgery, he said that, she left a great review about how polite he was and how, she would go to him if she had the money. And he was just like, you know what? I saw her review and I thought it was so nice. It was like the first time someone wasn't mean as shit to me. So he's like, you know what? I'll work with you on that. And he decided to like do a payment plan with her. And so she was charting the entire progress of this tummy tuck. And she ends up going in to get the tummy tuck done. They explain everything to her. And then she comes out dead. And her husband is in shambles. It's so sad. And her husband was like, "You don't have to do it. You look perfect." And she was like, "No, but I want to." So he was supportive but scared. And everybody was pissed off at the doctor. Like, how do you kill a woman during a tummy tuck? And now the doctor is suing the hospital that handled her aftercare because this surgeon, he's a surgeon. He doesn't have he had to do it out of a hospital because there could be complications. And apparently, like, the hospital has the anesthesiologist, they handle the aftercare. And he just comes into the hospital to do it. And he does it. And apparently the surgery went great. And she was talking and communicative. And then they put her in the aftercare facility in the hospital to heal. And she was fine for the first day. And then she tanked. I think she got like an infection or something. Or it had something to do with the anesthesia. I don't know. But he's suing the hospital now, the doctor, and he's like crying on TV talking about how he's never lost a patient. And there was something going on there. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't say exactly what, Tiff, but I'm very interested in this case because usually from what I've seen when there's invasive surgery, and a doctor explains to you all the possibilities and the complications and things like that, it's usually the surgery or the anesthesia that will kill you. But in this case, it had something to do with the aftercare. And this isn't like a third world hospital. This is in America. And it's just very strange. And there have been plenty of cases in like Mexico and Turkey, especially with the hair transplants, where people go in to get a cosmetic surgery and they end up passing away or something awful happens. But it's very rare that it's like here in America, or maybe they're just not highlighting it. So it's just very, very strange to me. And I want to learn more about it. Clotting and embolism praxis. Yeah, that's a big one, right? Yeah, I think it was an infection in that case, but also, people can get sepsis. People can, there's all sorts of things that can happen depending on what cosmetic surgery it is. And one of the teen moms got her butt done and a tummy tuck and all this shit at once. And she just looked horrible when she came. She really looked like she'd been hit by a bus. And just seeing people recover from like a boob job. I've had friends who've gotten their boobs done. Some of them for cosmetic reasons, some because their tits were too big. They were getting tit fat removed, and some of them because of breast cancer. And they've all said the same thing. This is the most painful thing I've ever been through. So I can't imagine getting multiple things at once. But this woman just got a basic tummy tuck. And apparently it's not that basic. So it's very, very strange. It's an interesting case. It has to do with liability, but I'm interested in it. And I wanted to see what you guys think about it. Has anybody here ever had a tummy tuck? Just had a C-section. It's not fun at all. Yep. It looks terrifying. C-sections are very scary. And everybody also acts like they're no big deal, right? But it's a lot. Yeah, the Brazilian butts go wrong. If you saw Nicki Minaj when her ass exploded on that yacht, it looked like a beanbag, and not a good one, like a cheap beanbag from like Big Lots. It was really sad. Yeah, gallbladder surgery is very serious. My dad had it. Also, I had a friend who I'll ask her if I can show the picture. I'm not going to show it without her giving express permission, but she sent me a picture of her gallbladder when it was removed. It was lime green. She was so sick. It was the color of Hugin's hat. It was so bad. Ooh, your mom videoed it for you? Can we watch it on the channel? No, I'm just kidding. But if you blur out your cooter, can we watch it on the channel? Okay, moving on. I have been holding back a lot because I so desperately want to watch pimple popping videos with you guys. And I know you're not going to like it. I know half of you will hate it, but I want to so bad. Maybe we'll do a members only where I just show you weird injuries get fixed. Jen, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I had a C-section and the doctor killed himself in the office years later. I take credit. Jen. Did you toot on him? What happened? Okay. So we're going to get to the news. We're going to get to the stuff that I can't believe. Jen, you really are crazy, and it's so funny. You say some shit that blows my mind. Great sense of humor, that one. Okay, so I told you, sorry for my child. Jesus. Okay. So while I'm waiting for these videos to load, because they're taking forever, thank you, StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard. I think we all must remember one important thing that we look at every live, and it's to get on the roof.
Get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't been on the roof. Never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't lay on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy grill on the roof. Never seen a big boy grill on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy grill on the roof. Big boy grilling on the roof. Big boy grilling on the roof. Big boy ain't grilling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't climbing on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. How you do it like that? Damn, you got tools on your back. Climbing on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Shit, big boy get loose. Shit, big boy get loose. I ain't never see a big boy grill on the roof. I ain't never, oh shit, he's falling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy hop on the roof. How you do it like that? Oh shit, you just like a back. Oh shit, pick up your back. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get your ass out the roof. Get your ass back out the roof. I ain't never see a big boy leap on the roof. Get the big ass off.
All right. Now that you're all on the roof, where are you mentally? I saw this and I thought of you guys. This is you. You're all this dog with the bubbles in your face, and I'm this dog too. Or are you the other dog? Are you one of these two, just looking on, going, what is Debbie doing? Are you one of the stuffed versions of the dogs that are real? Or are you the accordion? I mean, because this is going to be me one day. Let's be real. This is exactly where you'll find me, on a porch, Hugin dancing, that happening. It's all good, y'all. Okay. Also, new book just hit the market. I'm going to silence it just to show you the book. I'm not going to let the music play, but this is on TikTok and it makes me laugh. A book for Germans, autistics, or both. Am I German or autistic? A reflective inquiry on the identity and belonging. I need this book. I'm very concerned that I'm German. It really worries me. Do I dislike unexpected changes and unannounced visits, or am I just German? Do I communicate bluntly, causing some people to think I'm critical, or am I just German? Do I aim to be consistent with my actions and commitments, or am I just German? This is very important. I think we all need to identify ourselves immediately. I will be putting this on the agenda for things that we need to figure out. Do people view me as inflexible, or am I just German? So please let me know if you're German. If you are, you're out of the group. Just kidding. All right. You're German and autistic. Fantastic. You're Germanistic. I love that. Now, on the subject of HOA meetings, people have said that this is satire. Others have said that this is AI. I believe it's real. I choose to believe it's real, and you can't tell me it's not. But since we were talking about select board meetings, HOA meetings, and going through a lot of really cool speeches from angry people at their at their community meetings, I thought maybe you'd enjoy this. This is an HOA concern about landscaper lunches. I want you to focus, because we always like the people in the back. Focus on the gentleman in the back when she is done talking, please. Here we go.
I don't want to have to be the one to say it, but I can't be the only one who's noticed the landscapers eating their lunches in our common areas. I mean, residents use those spaces, and at a certain point, it just starts to feel like they're just hanging around. I don't want to have to be the one to say it, but I can't be the only one who's noticed the landscapers eating their lunches in our common areas. I mean, residents use those spaces, and at a certain point, it just starts to feel like they're just hanging around.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Oh, Lord. All right. Also, by the way, Florida man stopped at airport with 47 uncooked hot dogs taped to his body. We will cover that for sure in the future. Okay. So how did he get those? Stuck to his body. Also, Snapple lady Wendy Kaufman calls her job a gift to sobriety after years of cocaine addiction. Did you know that the Snapple lady was a cokehead? I had no idea. That's fun to learn. And now we move on to, let me pull this up for you real quick. We're going to watch the Melania speech. The Melania speech. Let me find it. She came out yesterday. I told you guys we'd watch this yesterday. And we're not going to watch the whole thing because I can't stand her. Actually, you know what? Fuck Melania. Do you guys want to watch a baseball fight? I know that you guys like the golf fights, but this is wild. Also, yeah, no. Okay, so all you need to know is Melania says she was not friends with Epstein. She's not a victim. The entire nation was like, nobody asked if you were a victim. Nobody thought you were. We all thought you were part of it. And yes, you were friends with him. So there's that. You didn't know there was a Snapple part? The Snapple lady. She was the lady. She was the only one. The Snapple lady. What do you mean? Oh, we're going to have to go in. Apparently, she was on coke the whole time, which makes sense because Snapple's not that good, but she made it sound that good. She made me drink it just with her enthusiasm, and it wasn't good, and I kept drinking it. Because when a cocaine whore is yelling at you to drink the Snapple, you drink the fucking Snapple. Do you understand? Anyway, this is a baseball fight.
See Lopez had the ball in his hand and hit Soler right in the side of the helmet. That's dangerous. Yes. See Lopez had the ball in his.
I love the whole. Listen, he's punching a guy in the face holding a baseball. In the side of the head, really. And I love the announcer. Listen to what he says. He says, that's dangerous.
Hand and hit Soler right in the side of the helmet. That's dangerous.
Yes. That's dangerous. Now, I will say, none of you knew about okay. Well, now we got to derail again. How did none of you fucking know about the Snapple lady? What are you talking about? She was a big shit, dude. She was hot shit. She was the Snapple lady. She was like Fran from, what is it? Progressive. Who does Fran work for? Is that her name? The spokes lady. Hold on. We're definitely derailing for this. How do you not know about Snapple lady? Also, there's another baseball fight that happened, and a guy pulled his fucking baseball bat out and started beating the other guy. You know her? You know the Snapple lady. Wendy Kaufman. That's her name. Wendy. Here, I'm going to show you Wendy. You will recognize her. Even if you barely watch TV, you will absolutely recognize her. This is an old Snapple commercial. This is 29 seconds of your time. to recognize Queen Babe Mother when you see her. She was on cocaine the whole time, but still a delight. Somehow tolerable. Love her. Love her to death. This is Wendy.
Hi, a kid in high school wrote to me from detention. I only have a Snapple iced tea to pass the time. Signed, suddenly caught talking. Poor guy.
Hey, excuse me, is Jeff here? Thanks for your letter, Jeff. Here's some iced tea to pass the time. But remember, nothing takes the place of a good education.
Have some Snapple, man.
We didn't know we could write this well. Maybe we'll use some of that writing energy in his English classes.
Maybe he could use some of that energy in his classes. We're not going to watch Eddie Murphy anything. You remember times before there was Snapple? Jesus. I don't want to remember the time before Snapple. I just don't. Okay, let me get back to the basics. Let's get back to what we were doing. Baseball fights. Okay, hold on. We're almost there. We got a little more. Because I thought that this was pretty cool. So much so that I thought you should see it. Okay. I thought it was pretty neat. You know how we were trolling Scientology for a while and I would call the Scientology center and tell them that I was trapped at the airport? You guys remember that? We haven't prank called Scientology in a while, but there is a guy on the internet who has been harassing them for years. And they do run-ins at the Scientology center. They will just run in and try to get as far in the building as they can, and then they will run out. And it's very funny. And this is the deepest recorded Scientology run thus far. This is like when Alex Jones tried to get into Bohemian Grove. This person is doing the Alex Jones work, but in a funny, positive way, because he's actually going after Scientologists and not just bothering people in the woods. So look at this.
Wow, it's nice in here.
Are you committing a mistake? Yeah, you gotta get out.
Okay, I'll leave.
Get out.
You're committing a misdemeanor.
Wow, it's nice in here.
Are you committing a mistake? Yeah, you gotta get out.
Okay.
Dude, good for them. Good for them. Committing a misdemeanor. Dude, I love when people fuck with Scientologists. I don't care. It's never not funny. It's literally never not funny. You can't. You just can't. All right. Now, this is the last video, and then we're going to get to the news. Beat the record? Beat the record. If any of you guys wants to run through Scientology and try to get back out again, and I don't mean join. Also, hello, Megan and Megan, our attorney at law, if you need her. I'm not encouraging you to do that, but you should totally do that and then film it and then let me put it on the channel because that would be so funny. By popular demand, one of you sent me an email saying that literally quoting me saying, if you don't play this again on the channel, I'll cut my tits off. I said, don't do that. I'll play this on the channel for you. The next episode, I will focus on the other request, which was the Texan lady speaking Korean. Not just Japanese. We've got one that speaks Korean, and they encouraged me to go out and find it, so I will. But until then, you wanted her, you got her. It's Bird Beak Girl. Here you go.
Decided to stop seeing me, and he said he got the ick from something so crazy. I don't know how to process. I don't. So again, we have been going out for 2 months. This happened last week. He was staying over at my place. I cannot stress enough how much of a normal girl I am, by the way. I can't be more basic. He was staying over in my room and I was in the bathroom, and I came back and I noticed that he was kind of like wandering around, peeking into my drawers, and he opened up the drawer full of my bird beaks. And he looked like seriously concerned. I'm like already confused because he had sisters, so I don't know why he's confused. And he asked me, he's like, are these bird beaks? And I go, yeah. And then he goes, did you kill birds? So now this man is accusing me of killing birds. I'm like, no, I got them off of the dead birds on the side of the road, like every other woman in this country does. And he's like, why do you need bird beaks? And I'm like, for my spells. I need the bird beaks for my spells. Now this man looks visibly scared, like he's kind of backing up into a corner. And he's like, what kind of spells are you casting? And I'm like, just normal girl spells. Like, I haven't casted any recently, but the last time I did was a couple months ago because this guy on the bus came up to me and was like being all creepy and weird and tried to touch me. So then when I went home, I cast a spell on him for eternal suffering. And now he is looking like incredibly scared. And I'm like, what do you think women do? What do you think women do all day? Cook, clean? No. We are collecting bird beaks and casting spells. And I'm trying to stay calm, but really, he's like super accusatory and looking at me like I'm some crazy person when I'm not. I'm a normal girl. I'm normal. And to add icing onto the fucking cake, he tries to leave my room and leave this apartment, but he opens up my closet instead of my door because they look very similar. They're kind of seated right next to each other. And of course, all of my rat tails come spilling out. And he like looks like disgusted by it. He's like, oh, what is that? And at this point, I don't understand. Because he had like sisters, and like, am I supposed to feel shame about my like rat tails in my closet just because they aren't organized the way your family did it? Like, what, are you setting women back fucking 70 years now? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And at this point, I am just like, I'm trying so hard not to flip my shit. I am. I'm sorry. I'm trying not so. I'm trying. I'm trying to be cool. But then this man says, I have to go. And he leaves pretty abruptly. And then I get a text about 24 hours later saying, hey, I don't think we can continue this relationship. Like, I'm just not feeling it. I kind of got the ick last night. And girls, honestly, like, come into the comments and like, please just let me know if I'm crazy. Like, am I crazy? Because I really don't think I am. But God, I must be, because this guy was being so weird about just like, about stuff that like shouldn't be shamed anymore. I don't know. I'm just feeling kind of defeated today. Like,
pause it. Fuck bird girl. Hey, hold on a second. Speaking of bird girls, are you saying we're gonna have another bird baby? Another grand cold baby? We had one 9 pounds 8 ounces of perfection grandbaby. Megan and Megan made her appearance this week. Oh my God, congratulations, Megan. Megan, your grandma. Oh my God. That is so cool, dude. 2 roadkills, 2 afterbirths. Tell me what. Limit is 2. Derek is ageless. Derek doesn't age. Derek is a vampire. Congratulations. So we have a cold baby and a cold grandbaby all in the same week. This is amazing. Congratulations to Megan and Megan. Congratulations to Megan and Megan in honor of your grandbaby. I'm about to do something. Look, it might upset some of you, but I know Megan's going to love it.
Ni hao, Jack. 我改变主意了。我到这里来找 手给我。闭上眼睛，快闭上。上来，抓住栏杆，闭上眼睛，别偷看。
我没偷看。
跨到栏杆上，抓住了，抓紧点儿，眼睛闭好了吗？相信我吗？
我相信你。
好了，睁开眼睛。
我飞了，这个。
来，伸出手，我拉你回来。
It's true. It's absolutely true. There are ducks and pigs in the middle of the ocean. They're called ocean pigs. Heard of them? They're a pretty big deal. This is a test. This has been a test of how long can you go before you turn off the stream. This is a test of the public Hugin system. Okay. You want to buy from the flea market? It's going to cost you. What do you want? An end table? You want a couch? Maybe we can slip one in there since you have a new grandbaby. Megan. Grandma Megan. All right. This is for Megan because she's a grandmother. And because she's a grandmother now, no one's allowed to fuck her. I learned that on the internet. You can't. It's not right. So Megan, unless you're going to go to Florida and move into that paradise place, I'm afraid that you are not allowed to do sex anymore. Also, I have to insist that you start giving everyone money and taking us to Disneyland. Because that's what I heard grandmas do. Okay? You're going to Florida soon. Be careful. Be very careful. Hello, Claudia. Nice to see you, hun. All right? If you guys act up on the way to Disneyland, I will put on the Price Master. So don't test me. I will turn this car around and we will go. Just kidding. We will go to the flea market. Here you go. Congratulations, Megan. Oh, I muted it. Pronk. Here we go.
Living rooms, bedrooms, dinettes. Oh, yeah, you can find them.
Also, we are going to have to get you, I know you have caramels and mints in your pockets, but we're also going to need to get you a nice fat stack of $2 bills. Is this a joke? How did you do that right after I said $2 bills? What the fuck? Holy shit. Because the elders always have $2 bills on hand. Have you noticed that? Also, thank you, Just a Crazy Jen. What the fuck? That was weird. Right when I said $2 bills, the super chat popped up. That's crazy. Thank you. Thank you, Jen. That was, wow. Okay. The moon is in Gatorade, you say? It's ESPN. I've got that ESPN. You know.
Living rooms, bedrooms, dinettes. Oh, yeah, you can find them at the market. We talking about flea market. Montgomery, it's just like a mini mall. Oh, yeah, come shop with us. I said flea market. Montgomery, it's just like a mini mall. Hey, you heard me. Come shop. Living room, bedrooms, dinettes. We got it. You need it. You'll find it. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, you heard me. Come shop. I said flea market. Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Hey. Living room, bedrooms, dinettes. Oh yeah, you can find them at the market. We talking about flea market. Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, don't stop. Let's make it a dance. Come on now, to the left, to the right. Let's do this dance. Hey, to the left, to the right. Let's make this a dance. Flea market, Montgomery. It keeps you jumping. It's just like a mini mall. Check it out now, everybody. Like this now. Hey, flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Don't stop. Let's dance. Flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall.
Let's bring it on down now. Oh yeah, I know you're gonna like this. Come on now.
It's just like,
you know what I'm saying.
It's just like,
you know what I mean.
It's just like,
you know it. So why don't you just come on and say it?
It's just like a mini mall.
Oh yeah, you said it. It's just like a mini mall. Oh yeah, you like this. Come on now. Flea market.
Dun, 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 dun. There you go. There's that dinette. I know you guys wanted to see it. There it is. Congratulations. Okay. So let's start with what's on our list. Okay. We're going to skip the Melania thing because fuck her. Who cares? Okay. First, let's talk about Lisk. Tierney did an appearance on, I guess it's y'all's version of Good Morning America, but instead of All America, it's just New York. It's Good Morning New York. And he gave a pretty good interview. He answered a lot of questions. He gave us a rundown of the case against Rex Heuermann. And this is after Rex pled guilty and then added on his confession for Karen Vergata's case. And I thought that it was fascinating. And I felt like it's better than the press conference because you can actually hear the questions being asked and some of the important things he said. I do think that it's something that for us anyway, since we've been covering Lisk since day one on this channel, it's a must watch, if you will. Good morning, Julia. So let's check this out and then we'll talk about it. Hopefully with the sound on, that would be great. Here we go.
Well, a decades-long search for answers in the Gilgo Beach serial killer case is now over.
Rex Heuermann, he pled guilty to murdering 7 women, admitted to killing an 8th on Long Island. Joining us now exclusively to talk about what happened in court, what's next for...
And, you know, we've talked about the aerial imagery, and there's a historic aerials map that is available on the OSINT cheat sheet, and we have the new one coming out for this coming month. And also, I'm extending the sticker giveaway, I think, until April, and we're going to give away 2 sets of stickers to anybody who donates to the channel via Super Chat or any other method from the above box. Your name's going to go in, and I'm going to pick out 2, and we're going to give away sticker packs. And then I have these solo stickers of Hugin coming in that I ordered that I'd like to give one to everybody who donates. So I'm going to try to do that. I might just order a thing of stamps and do that. And if anybody donated and gives their, I'll reach out. And if you give your address, I'll send you stickers. But the sticker packs, the whole sticker packs at the end of April, I'm going to go through and draw 2 names. So we're going to be doing that. That's happening. So I just want to give you an update on that. But also, if you join the membership levels, the bottom or the top 3 tiers now, I'm not doing just the top 2. I'm going to do 3. You get access to those in cheat sheet, and there's a ton of different aerial maps, resources that I'm about to put up. But I'm also going to probably do a whole episode on maps, which is going to piss off Gray Hughes. It's going to be so funny. But we'll talk about all the different maps in general. So if you don't have the money to join the channel at those tiers, you can still see a bunch of the stuff. I'm not trying to withhold it from people, but I do think that it's very important when you're looking at cases like this, especially because that's the type of stuff that can help. But you can see the terrain on some of them, and there's quite a few that go back to the 80s, and you can see how the terrain changes on various above photos, looking at aerial maps, of course, but aerial photos of different places in the US. And I do believe Gilgo Beach is on there. So I do think that that is a brilliant idea. It's something that has actually helped with quite a few cold cases. So that's pretty cool. So we'll talk about that at a later date, but I do think that that is important. And also knowing the difference between like what erosion looks like, what a hole that's been dug looks like, what it looks like after a hurricane. So yeah, let's check this out. But I think that's a great idea, and we'll talk about that next time for sure.
Rex Heuermann, father, former architect, Suffolk County attorney, district attorney, Ray Tierney. Nice to have you here. Congratulations on cracking the case.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So how did this plea deal come about?
You know, as a prosecutor, you just kind of forge ahead. And then at a certain point, quite recently, the defense was doing the same thing. And then at a certain point, the defense informs you that the defendant wishes to change his plea. And so that's what we did.
Wow. I'm sure you were surprised.
Yeah, a little bit.
So what did you learn about these serial killings? I mean, was it the same in every case?
Well, I think his modus operandi changed a little bit, evolved over time. Initially, he was dismembering the women and then dumping them, their bodies in different places. And then he went from just leaving them at Gilgo, wrapped in a shroud.
Did he have sex with them as well? Because a lot of them were workers.
Yeah, we're not sure.
But he said what?
I tend to not think so. But the claim was he did.
Yesterday was significant that you were standing there with those victims' families. How important was that to you?
Oh, I think it was the most important thing. I think that, when you look at this, the notoriety, everyone is interested, everyone is intrigued, and everyone sort of, in the interest, they sort of forget about, these are real women with real lives and whose lives were tragically cut down. So nice to give them a little closure.
I remember, more than a decade ago when they started to find these bodies out there in Gilgo Beach, and it was this search, and then it led to more and more and more. And then it was years that this was essentially a cold case. All of a sudden, we see some of the corruption and things that were going on before you came into office. You and former Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison created this task force, and then it was just good police work that tracked this person down.
Yeah, we were fortunate to be able to bring together a lot of really talented investigators from a lot of great organizations, FBI, State Police, Suffolk County Sheriff, and Suffolk County PD. Got a bunch of help from a bunch of other folks.
What was the piece of evidence that cracked the case, really?
I think there was the phone evidence, there was the DNA, there was the internet search, there was the planning document that we found at his house. There were mementos or keepsakes commemorating these murders. So a whole bunch of stuff.
Overwhelming, yeah.
So what about his family? Because in the beginning, they were staunch supporters of Rex Hugh.
I want to go back real quick. Also, thank you so much for the super chats. I'm going to acknowledge them as soon as this is over. Give you guys a little treat, say thank you. And of course, there's going to be full frontal nudes of Hugin. Absolutely. And of course, you'll get a sticker, Tiff. Just a Crazy Megan and Laura. Of course. I am ordering a sheet of stamps. And anybody who gives me their address who donates in any format to the channel this week. That means if you send like a PayPal, a Venmo, a Cash App, a super chat, a super sticker, anything like that. Anything. If you buy merchandise, just anything that donates to the channel, you will get a sticker, and I will reach out to you, or I will comment under your donations. But most of you who do the super chats, I know how to get a hold of you. And then I'm going to mail out individual stickers, and the 2 sticker packs are going to have a bunch of different ones of Hugins. They will be full frontal nudes of Hugin, of course, so that Ladybug can have her time. Okay? Her time. And also stamp price increase. God damn it. God damn it. Why would they do that? How dare they? Fucking the stamp racket is real. Okay, I want to go back on that because he said something interesting about keepsakes. Let's hear that again.
I think there was the phone evidence, there was the DNA, there was the internet searches, there was the planning document that we found at his house. There were mementos or keepsakes commemorating.
Right there. So he's going through the list of evidence. Hear that again, because everything he lists we knew about from the bail doc in the arrest affidavit and all of the paperwork that we've seen. The subpoena, the warrant, everything that we've seen so far. But the last thing he said is very interesting.
A bunch of other folks.
What was the piece of evidence that cracked the case, really?
I think there was...
That was an important question. What was the piece of evidence that cracked the case? And then he gives us a list of the important things that helped crack the case. That's important. Quote, crack the case. So what is the strong evidence? What's the shit that's going to put him away? Run that down for us.
There was the phone evidence. There was the DNA. There was.
So we knew this. We knew about the phone evidence, which would be, that's right, Tiff, the electronic evidence. We know about the DNA. And yeah, it goes into CODIS upon sentencing mid-June, but it has to be individually ran against specific cases where perhaps they don't already have it in CODIS for the victim or the crime scene. But also because in New York, like basically you have to wait until they're convicted is what you're asking. After that, he's saying if you have any open cold cases to reach out to us, because they would have to run it against that. And that makes me wonder, like, is this a New York loophole thing for stamps? Thank you, just a crazy chat. I appreciate you. You get so many stickers. Thank you very much. But yeah, we got to wait till sentencing, till he's locked up. But at the same time, they're asking also, like, do you have evidence that you want to check and see if it matches with Rex? Send it to us. For violent crime and whatnot, well, shouldn't it already be in CODIS? That shows you that they're doing it individually, which is weird. It's very strange. But back to the evidence. What's the stuff that put his bitch ass away? What sealed the deal here? His responses are so fascinating because he gives us something extra we didn't know. It wasn't in there.
The internet searches, there was the planning document that we found at his house. There were mementos or keepsakes commemorating these murders. So a whole bunch of stuff.
Overwhelming, yeah.
So keepsakes and mementos commemorating the murders. That's weird. I mean, we all assumed he probably will have that. We wondered, we inquired. Also, Claudia, I will put those in the shop later. They will be up once I'm done parsing them out. But yeah, isn't that interesting? So there were keepsakes and mementos. So that's something, yeah. I'm wondering. So they're basically talking about trophies. Did they find jewelry belonging to these girls? What mementos? What mementos? Like, we know about the planning document. We knew about the DNA. We knew about everything he said, but mementos and trophies are weird. That's weird. I think so. I think they'll be able to share some of it. I would be looking forward to, in 3 to 5 years, the FBI.gov website's probably going to publish a BAU analysis research paper or something. I bet that's where we're going to see the most stuff. He had a trophy box. He had something. You think pieces of them? I don't know that any of the... So that's what's complicated also is some of the bones... Remember, he told them, I don't know if you heard this, but he told them that he strangled all of them. Okay, but some of his cases involved what? Dismemberment early on. So if some parts are found up on a beach and some parts are found here, there is potential. And all the stuff from the storage unit. Was it hair? I mean, we know that his wife and his ex's hair were on there. But remember how there was that weird doll, the weird painting, things like that? I don't think it's stuff like that. I also wonder if the keepsakes he's talking about, and this is what I'm curious what you think. Newspaper clippings? Is he tossing that in as a keepsake? Because I don't know. It sounds like it's something else. And obviously in the court records, in the probable cause affidavits and whatnot, they're going to put the main shit that they found that connects them to the girls. But remember, they were still searching the house and they went back to search it after. And then they went in the woods to find that box. And there was no follow-up paperwork or documentation that explained that. So there's probably stuff that is not only good hard evidence against Rex that we would have never known about had he not said something just now. Yeah, and he had over 100,000 images. Because remember, they took his phones, his computers, his laptop, like everything. His BlackBerry, his old Also, a lot of these people keep so much of their old shit, like phones and electronics. It's wild. But the fact that they were able to recover the planning document from the early 2000s, that alone. Yeah, I had heard about that. I am very, very curious about that. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the doll and the painting, like I don't think that's it either. I think it's something specific from the victim. I don't think that the victim's gonna give him a doll or that he's gonna buy a doll that represents it. But that's too weird. Yeah, there was a box in the woods so they went in the woods to dig up and look for a small wooden box at one point. And this was when they went back before they went to the Old Mill Cranes Road. And then there was a story about the paper towel, which I'd like to get more clarification on. I'm the one who saw him at the sites right before the second batch was found. I followed the story. He had just placed some of them, maybe where he had them stored. There were some remains. That could be possible. That actually 100% could be possible. But you saw him? What do you mean you saw him? The description of the planning documents are public, right? Yes. They have been released. And he gives a name Megan on some of them, and a bunch of people keep saying that, oh, it must be Megan Waterman. This was like over a decade before. Yeah, in Long Island. Going up towards where Bitteroff lived. They were able to trace a paper towel that was in the mouth of a victim. They went back all the way to the warehouse it was manufactured at, and he had a receipt from that year buying them as well. Holy shit, so it is true. I wanted to be careful with that until I knew more. I knew that they had a receipt for a paper towel. I didn't realize it was the one. It was that it connected to the brand of the one in her mouth. Because I was thinking, well, paper towels are popular. But yeah, holy shit. And so let me ask you guys this. When John Ray tells you to ignore all of the information from the hotel, allegedly, remember he said, and a bunch of people were saying that Asa and them were lying about the Atlantic City stuff, and that they spoke to a guy at the hotel who says that they checked out early or checked out late, and that she totally could have been a part of it with Victoria because, there were lies from the hotel clerk. He said that they didn't keep track of these things in the computer, but we already had those documents. And it confirmed that they were out of town, that they were absolutely there, 100%. And his clapback was about how essentially, that this was back in the day. This was the 90s. This was the 2000. Like, this is a long time ago. How do we know that they got everything perfect? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, if they have a receipt for the exact paper towels that was in a girl's mouth that long ago, like, I think that we can trust quite a bit of the information. They do know their shit, and they were able to trace the exact blanket that was in the tub that Peaches was found in that ended up being her ex-husband. And they knew exactly where it came from. So there's that. The pattern on it, yeah. And they're discontinued now. If it's what I was reading about. And mine didn't say on his desk. The stuff that I was reading some stuff on Reddit about it, and I wasn't entirely sure if it was bullshit or not. But the patterns on the paper towels tell the story, because as time goes on, there's actually a lot of weird stuff about paper towel technology. I was watching a commercial of those bears, the Bounty Bears or whatever. They're like, we like to take shits in the woods. And it was interesting because literally that day on NPR, this whole thing came on about someone who worked in basically paper towel science and technology absorbency, and talked about how patterns on paper towels actually serve a purpose and it's to get more poop off your ass. It was crazy. But it's weird how deep into thought they get. And if you think about it, toilet paper and paper towels back in the day used to just be the same. It was all basically Scott. And then Charmin came in the game and was like, we're going to leave little crumbles of this on your asshole, but it's going to be way softer. And then all of a sudden, someone starts putting patterns on it. And Bounty's over here like, hey, check this out. Cartoons. We have cartoons on ours. We have patterns. We have all kinds of shit. And then another company comes around and they're like, ours is thicker than a Snicker. Get all the poop off your butt. So technology has come very, very far in paper towel and toilet paper science. And it does not surprise me at all that they're able to figure out an exact time frame because of how different paper towels and toilet paper are. I do agree Charmin's too fluffy. What kind of paper towel do you guys use to clean up pools of carefully poured liquids on your counters? And what kind of toilet paper do you use to wipe your butts? I think it's a great question. What do you wipe your ass with? What do you wipe your counter with? Was it the same as the shit that you used back in the 80s, the 90s? Bounty? That's the good shit. Tea towels. There's some people who use rags and clean them every day. And those are called hippies. We'll let him continue.
Commemorating these murders. It's a whole bunch of stuff.
Overwhelming, yeah.
So what about his family? Because in the beginning, they were staunch supporters of Rex Heuermann. Did he talk to them before he took the plea? How did that work out?
Yeah, I believe he did. Yeah, I believe he did. I think they were informed, so they knew. The one thing that was, I think, striking about this particular defendant, that he really lived a double life. He was the suburban, dad next door who was also a serial killer, and he really was very disciplined in keeping those two lives extremely separate.
Did he say why he did it?
No.
Do you have any idea why he did it?
I just think that, well, as part of his plea, he's the FBI behavioral sciences unit are going to sit down and clinically speak with him and try to come out up to motivations, why he was compelled to do or felt it necessary to do what he did.
You just hit it there. I mean, this is someone who was able to lead a relatively normal life while having this incredibly dark and horrific other side. What does it mean now that he's going to sit down with these FBI forensic analysis and things along those lines? What will they actually try to get from him?
I think it's not going to be investigative. It's going to be clinical. So they're going to try to speak with him and gain insight. How does this come about? What drives this person to do these things? What can we learn? How can we prevent it? How can we mitigate it? And how can we catch the next individual?
Could he theoretically help them catch somebody else? I mean, we've seen that in other cases.
I think they'll gain insight into the psychology, and that will allow them to better hone their practice going forward.
So what's next for him? Does he stay in isolation? How does that work?
So he's in protective custody, and I think given the notoriety of the case and also the nature, violence against women, those individuals typically don't do well in a prison setting.
Why? Because the inmates don't like those kind of people?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So he'll probably stay in a protective custody type of
What's
situation.
going on with his foot, by the way? They said there's something weird going on with his foot.
Apparently he had some sort of flare-up, but I don't think it was all that serious, but I don't really know.
And can you talk a little bit about his wife? Why was his wife cleared?
Well, I think when we talk about this double life, he was extremely disciplined. And I'll give you like a real quick example. He had, at most times, he had 3 phones on him. He had his phone that he used for work. He had a phone that he contacted escorts on, and then he had another phone where he was looking to lure women in. I have 2 phones. I have a business phone. I have a personal phone. Everybody knows I do because they see it on me. We talk to friends, family. No one ever saw him with anything more than 1 phone. So he was really disciplined in the way he hid this double life from people.
So this one of the first cases dates back to the early 90s, and then there's this sort of gap in between. Do you think there are other victims out there?
Well, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what we can prove, and we're going to keep on working. Obviously, there's some more cases on the island, although there's a lot less. By that I mean Gilgo, but in Long Island and Suffolk County, there's a lot of cases that remain unsolved. We're going to continue to work those cases, and we'll go where the evidence leads us.
Because a lot of people would say if someone does this, they don't wait that 10-year period, in between, that this isn't something you just turn off. It's something else is going on.
Yeah, I think that there was he was identified, and the last murder that he was convicted of was Amber Costello, and he was identified by witnesses at that for the first time. So that might have been a cue to him that maybe we discontinue this.
So what's next?
So what's next? We have sentencing on June 17th, and the nice thing is all of these resources that we've been using on this case, now we turn to other unsolved cases, and the hope is with those resources and our great investigators and our great partners, we could solve more cases and provide more closures for more family.
Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney, congratulations on this incredible work that you did to bring this case to a closure.
American husband Brian Hooker says he survived what his attorney calls a harrowing ordeal, but those final moments before his arrest. He's now sitting in custody in the Bahamas after claiming his wife, Lynette Hooker, mysteriously fell into the water and vanished without a trace. Now newly revealed messages Hooker allegedly sent to a friend offer his version of events as growing questions swirl over whether Lynette's disappearance was truly an accident or something far more sinister. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. All right, another day, a lot of updates to get to in this case we've been following now for nearly a week out of the Bahamas. Brian Hooker's stepdaughter has gone public claiming the marriage between her mom and her stepdad was not as perfect as the couple made it seem on social media. And I just got documents laying out a domestic violence arrest that took place involving Lynette and Brian Hooker roughly a decade ago. So I'll break down what led to Lynette being put in handcuffs in that case and what it could mean now, as she has not been seen since Saturday night. But before we get to that part of the story, I do want to bring you up to speed on what Brian's lawyer has been telling us. She actually just sent me a message as we're starting this recording saying that Brian is about to do an official police interview, which was scheduled for 10:30 in the morning Friday. This is an interview that his lawyer says that she is going to be sitting in on. So we'll be waiting for updates on that. She also overnight sent us an update on what her client told her when she talked to him at a police station in Freeport, Bahamas. And he lays out quite the story that took place prior to his arrest. This is a statement per his attorney, Terrell Butler. She shared with us what Brian called a harrowing account that happened right before this arrest, which was on Wednesday night. Quote, Brian shared a harrowing account of an incident that occurred on the night of his arrest. Under conditions of heavy rain and strong force winds, he was taken by boat to his boat, the Soulmate, for a police search. Despite the choppy and dangerous sea conditions, he was kept in handcuffs while attempting.
Okay, I'm back. Hugin pooped. He does have diarrhea right now. He's got pretty bad allergies and he's spraying diarrhea. We will follow up on it with the vet, who will then take the family farm to tell me it's allergies. And I'll go, oh, okay. And that's what's just going to happen. Yeah, the neighbor dog has it too. And then the other neighbor dog. And they said that when the pollen gets real bad, it happens. They just get kind of sickly. So I plan on venturing out to get him some pumpkin tomorrow so he feels better. But he's still on the food that is good for him, that helps him. I think it's just he's just not feeling too good. He can eat pumpkin. He absolutely can. And he likes it. Yeah, shit happens. It varies. Sometimes it sprays out like a spigot. Sometimes it's nice and chunky and firm, like him and me. So let's talk about the hookers. So Brian says that she went overboard. Brian says that she had the keys to the dinghy. Oh yeah, I always clean his paws just because he gets them dirty. Brian says that she apparently tried to swim back to the dinghy in some text messages he had with a buddy, while he also congratulated the buddy on his new boat over Facebook Messenger. Now, what was weird is this buddy also says that Brian was apparently looking through him and his wife's photos and clicking like on them in the middle of the night after his arrest. Or no, after her death. But while they're still searching for her. And it concerned him. And this is his buddy back in Louisiana who he's known for over a decade. And he came out and said this to the press. He said, I thought it was kind of weird that he would do that. Who does that? You know, who goes on Facebook and clicks like on your buddy's wife's photo and shit and pictures of your boat while your wife is floating around in the water and they can't find her. Yeah, he is pulling a Natalie Wood, and they were living on a boat, I believe, and he moved it. Oh no, IBS is bad. But yeah, he moved the boat. Like, it's kind of like if you go or if your kid goes missing, right? Do you move houses? Do you move away? No, because you want them to, if they do return, to know where to go. If your wife is overboard, let's say for some reason she was able to survive, get to shore, find something to float on, why would you move your home boat where she could float back towards it and find you? Or return? It just makes no sense. Not only that, but he was apparently very abusive towards her, according to her daughter, who is an adult now, who also said that he threatened to throw her off a boat before. So yeah, if you go overboard and die, it's not a good look when the person who's there with you is liking Facebook pictures in the middle of the night. Sure. But what's the worst look is when they move the boat and then they don't seem very upset when they call to tell the family. He's very callous, and you had threatened in the past to throw her overboard. Yeah, no life jacket. And then Ashley Banfield straight up is like, you wouldn't need a key. They're talking about a kill switch. And she was explaining it. It actually doesn't make any sense because the daughter also said her mom would never be the one with the key. She would never be the one steering the boat. And based on come on, look at this guy. Listen to the shit he said. Like, this is a guy who's not going to let his wife drive the boat. Are you kidding me? He's kind of a dick. It seems, in my opinion, allegedly for entertainment purposes only. This whole thing reeks. But here's the thing. The water wasn't choppy. It wasn't that windy. It wasn't that bad. There's like a lot that he's lying about. And you also would go out in a very shallow. Oh my God, Tish. Is he single? Is crazy. Is he single? Girl. Ashley would say that, wouldn't she? She'd be like, that guy's kind of hot. Ashley Banfield asking, is she single is hilarious. Or is he single is hilarious. That's very, very funny. Very, very funny. I love that. I'm going to let him continue.
To move sideways across the wet, unstable flooring of the boat to maintain his balance with a bundle of clothes in his restricted hands. He lost his footing and fell overboard. He was submerged in the cold water and took in a significant amount of seawater before his life jacket brought him to the surface. He had to be rescued from the water by the police. As a result of this fall, Brian sustained an injury to his knee, which has caused him to limp, as well as a visible abrasion. Now, Butler previously said that the police may have tricked Brian into coming in for an interrogation. She told us that Brian was about to go out on Wednesday on what she called a search and rescue mission for Lynette, but then police asked him to come in and talk. And she claims that Brian was told he wouldn't need a lawyer for that conversation and that he wasn't a suspect. She also says police talked to him for more than 3 hours. Then at the end of that interview, they put him under arrest. Right now, we're waiting to learn if Brian is going to be charged in this case. Butler says in the Bahamas, someone can be held for 48 hours without a charge, and that can be extended to 96 hours as long as there is an official police interview where he would be able to have an attorney present. And we just learned that that interview is potentially happening as we're recording this episode of On the Case. Now, Butler also said, quote, Brian appears completely heartbroken and deeply distressed. His primary concern and source of intense frustration is his inability to continue to search for his wife of 25 years. The trauma of her disappearance, coupled with his current detention as a suspect, has left him in an extremely fragile state. Now, to me, there are two big questions at this point in the case, and they're probably pretty obvious to you. First off, what happened to Lynette? But then, how can anyone prove what Brian said happened is the truth, or whether there's something more going on here? These are direct messages that Brian sent to a friend on Facebook in the wake of Lynette's disappearance. That friend shared them with us. So he reached out to Brian on Monday after seeing the hookers on the news. And Brian replied with, quote, yes, brother, I'm afraid so. Off the dinghy in some choppy seas on the way back to the sailboat. The wind blew me away from her and she swam towards the sailboat and we lost sight of each other pretty quickly as it was just about sundown. I drifted and tried to paddle with one oar for the next 7 hours until I washed up behind the shore of the next island over and was able to get some help finally. We are still searching. A lot is going on right now, but I thank you for checking on us. Being on the news is a huge burden, and I just had my first ever news organization call me a few minutes ago. So he goes on to say, quote, our family is in hell right now. Search and Rescue just called and said they had searched a bunch of areas today and no joy. They're going back out tomorrow, but a storm is coming in Wednesday. Then Tuesday morning, Brian responded to his friend's message with, quote, thank you for reaching out and supporting us. I got the boat back to Marsh Harbor yesterday after the fire department brought me back to my dinghy. I'm on the moorball at a place called the Conch Inn, staying on the boat. My sister,
this is a great question because he claimed he didn't have her phone and neither did she. Oh, thank you, Laura. Also, in all seriousness, love Trader Joe's and he loves the sweet potato treats there. That's a good idea. I'm not sure, but that's kind of weird, right? Like, so she'd have her Apple Watch, but they don't both have their phone. I mean, if you're somebody who boats all the time, I would say, no, let's bring our phone just in case something happens because your watch is on you. It just makes no sense. And I absolutely agree. Like, and the stuff he's messaging just seems so like he has yet to be like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I miss her. I hope she's okay. He has barely talked about her. It's so wild.
Brother-in-law are flying in later this morning to stay for a couple of days, and I will probably stay with them for a night or two while weather happens. But then I plan on heading back out to the site and continuing searching. I will most likely definitely need help in the future, but I just don't know what it is yet. I'm trying to keep the faith. Search and Rescue is out again today before some big wins come tomorrow. Now, it appears the story that Brian is telling to his friend in these messages lines up with what Brian allegedly told authorities in the Bahamas, that on Saturday night, he and Lynette, they were on their dinghy and they were leaving a restaurant on Abaco and they were headed back to their boat on this 8-foot dinghy. It's got a hard bottom, outboard engine on the back. Not a lot of space for two people. Typically, you sit on the side. And then in pictures of Brian and Lynette on a dinghy, that's kind of where they're sitting. And there weren't ideal conditions to go out on a small boat. You had winds between 18 and 20 knots, which is between 22 and 25 miles per hour. Now, Brian says that Lynette was the one manning the engine, and she had the keys with her. And so when she allegedly fell overboard, the keys went with her. And that left Brian to figure out how to get back to land and to safety. He said that the currents and the winds, as you read in those messages, kind of pushed Lynette and him away from each other, making it difficult to try and rescue her in that moment. I did find it interesting, he said, though, that she was swimming back in the direction of the boat. That's the first time that we heard that. Brian then said he had to paddle for hours to get to Marsh Harbor, Bahamas, where he came ashore at a marina and then was able to get in touch with someone to get help. Now, the Associated Press put out this map here, and you can see Hopetown. That's where
that's apparently the point that Banfield was trying to make. And a lot of people who have been discussing this case on Reddit, I agree completely. I do think, and also not only setting that, but also the way he's behaving on social media is so weird. Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense. Yeah. Also that. This is weird because Bam Bam was saying the same thing. Key with a tether. And someone also said that it's like a sea-doo or whatever. How it's really a thing. It's like a kill switch. You put this thing in and then it stops it so that you can get back to it or something if you fall off. Has life insurance entered the chat yet? Is hilarious. And exactly. Like everything about this reeks. Same. Unless it was messages to someone who could help me find them, right? So weird. And also, this is just very far. It's very strange.
Started on this dinghy. They were trying to get to Elbow Key. And at some point, that is when Lynette allegedly fell off the boat. Did he say anything about, like, kind of in that moment, like what he did to try and find your mom?
He said that she was floating away, so he threw a life device at her, and then he started swimming or paddling to shore. So I don't.
Which is weird because when he's talking to his friend, he said that she went off the boat and then she started swimming towards him, and then the wind swept him away, which is a totally different story. And I'm going to go back so you can hear this again. And also, look at that dinghy one more time. Are you fucking kidding me? You know, we could easily just look up what this brand is, I guess, and see what this kill switch thing looks like. But look, there's a red string right. No, that's just a rope. I really don't know anything about boats or engines. I see some of you guys know. Tethered to your arm, it cuts the engine. Yeah, that's what Bam Bam said too. Interesting.
Go out on a small boat. You had winds between 18 and 20 knots, which is between 22 and 25 miles per hour. Now, Brian says that Lynette was the one manning the engine and she had the keys with her. And so when
what is 20 knots? Because Ashley said that, going by what Bam Bam said, because her shit's clipped and put all over Reddit. And it's interesting because despite wanting to date Jeffrey Epstein, she absolutely did have some good points about boats that I didn't know. She said that it wasn't that bad, but he's saying 25. Is that a lot? Is that 25 miles per hour? That is a lot.
Allegedly fell overboard. The keys went with her. And that left Brian to figure out how to get back to land and to safety. He said that the currents and the winds, as you read in those messages, kind of pushed Lynette and him away from each other, making it difficult to try and rescue her. I did find it interesting. He said, though, that she was swimming back in the direction of the boat. That's the first time that we heard that. Brian then said he had to paddle for hours to get to Marsh Harbor, Bahamas, where he came ashore at a marina and then was able to get in touch with someone to get help. Now, the Associated Press put out this map here, and you can see Hopetown. That's where they started on this dinghy. They were trying to get to Elbow Key, and at some point, that is when Lynette allegedly fell off the boat. Did he say anything about, like, kind of in that moment, like what he did to try and find your mom?
He said that she was floating away, so he threw a life device at her, and then he started swimming or paddling to shore. So I don't know why he didn't drop anchor and look for her. That's the first thing I would have done, is go towards her, not away from her.
This is part of our interview that we did with Hooker's stepdaughter, Carly Aylesworth. She's 28 years old. She lives in Michigan, and she has been very public. She says that she has concerns that her mom's disappearance, it wasn't an accident, like Brian has claimed. Now, Brian's attorney has said that he denies any wrongdoing in this, and he's also denying the allegations that Carly has made in interviews about him and his marriage. Like, how did he tell you that that this happened?
He called me. It was about 8:30 at night on Sunday, and he told me, "Hey, your mom's missing. It happened late last night, but we're gonna come up soon, so I hope to see you." And I was just like, okay. Like, I didn't say much because I was like, what? And then he was like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'm gonna search for her, bye," and then got off the phone quick. So I don't know. It was a little sketchy. So
It was as if he was going to come back to the US and just kind of like, hey, this just happened. And
but whatever, let's hang out when I come see you. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't know. That just, it didn't sit right with me. It took him so long to even tell me that she was gone. So, and I don't know why he didn't go to his boat and call on the radio to other sailboats. Hey, have you seen my wife? She's missing, because I know boaters would probably go out and help look.
not only has Carly said that she's suspicious of Brian's story of what happened to her mom, she also claimed that the Hookers were not as perfect of a couple as maybe their social media made it seem. Now, the couple had been living together on the boat since around pandemic time.
Thank you for gifting a membership to whoever gets a membership. Thank Age of Nefarious. Tish, what do you think? Laura, what do you think? Tiff? He's sus as fuck, isn't he? Also, did you guys see any life preservers in any of those photos? Because I don't think I did. I was looking for them. I didn't see any. In almost every photo and video on social media you find of this couple, they're out on the water. Like, they know what they're doing. They're in the fucking Bahamas to, like, stay there, to, like, live. It just feels so weird that they wouldn't take basic security precautions. Darlene Wolf is here. She's done saving lives for the day, but she's here to save ours. Hello, Darlene. We missed you. He totally did it. Is it? Because I wasn't sure. I thought that was a bag. It's very strange. And also, if it was a life preserver, then why not have two, since there's two of them? It's very weird. They don't seem to be practicing safety precautions, obviously, but also because there's two of them and they are so avid at boating and water sports, water shit. Maybe she trusted that he would save her if something happened and vice versa, but it seems that didn't happen. Keep in mind, there are reports by friends and family that he was very abusive towards her. He did threaten to throw her off a boat specifically in the future. And they had broken up and they had apparently just gotten back together and then are doing this boating thing.
They told us they bought this sailboat, aptly named Soulmate, roughly 3 years ago in Texas. And ever since, they've been living aboard it. They travel to destinations like the Bahamas. And on their social media, they say they left the BS behind and they're living their best lives. But Carly claims the couple has a history of domestic violence. Years ago, Billy threatened to choke her mom out and throw her overboard. Now, there's no court case documentation of that. And again, Brian's attorney says that he denies those kind of allegations. But we do have this police report that documents a domestic dispute involving the hookers that happened in 2015 when they lived in Michigan. Police in Kentwood, Michigan write that they were called to the hookers' home just after 1 o'clock in the morning on February 1st, 2015. And they say that Brian Hooker claimed that he was assaulted by Lynette. He accused her of hitting him in the face multiple times. And police write that Brian was intoxicated and he had blood coming from his nose. Brian told them that Lynette was drunk and she was trying to get into a bedroom upstairs where she was concerned a man named Jacob Hooker, who we do believe to be Brian's son, was, quote, fooling around and had locked the door. Brian said he went upstairs to calm Lynette down. And that is when Lynette hit him 4 to 5 times in the face, he claimed. Police wrote, quote, he had never been hit like that in a long time. He started to cry and became emotional, end quote. Now, Lynette's side of the story was very different. Police say she was highly intoxicated. She claimed that Brian struck her in the forehead. She also accused him of choking her and punching her once. Police said that Brian had visible injuries of a bloody and swollen nose. Police said that Lynette did not have any visible injuries, but Lynette was arrested and brought to the Kent County Jail where she was lodged on a domestic assault charge. The charges were later dropped, though, because authorities said there was no roughly a decade. But it does give you a glimpse into what may have been a marriage with some toxic traits. Carly told us that before her mom went missing, her mom left her a voicemail where she sounded drunk. She also shared with us this voicemail that her stepdad left her after her mom went missing, but before his arrest. Listen.
Hello, honey. I just got a call from Hopetown Search and Rescue, and they have found a flotation device that I threw to mom when she fell overboard. And so they haven't found her yet, but
so he's saying that they found a flotation device, but I've yet to see that anywhere other than from him. I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like he's kind of lying to everybody, right? Hello, Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie is here, everybody. Dawn Marie is here, the Italian lemon. Hello, Dawn. Hello, Lemon Dawn Marie. How are you doing tonight? Oh, no, I'm glad he didn't. If anyone tries to push you off a boat, call me. I'll come help. Drinking and boating in bad weather is bad. Yeah, none of this is a good mix. I agree. It's not good. Not good.
In a smaller area, and they're still out there searching today. So I just wanted to update you, let you know. Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Now, Carly told us the U.S. Coast Guard interviewed her as part of a criminal investigation into this case. Brian's attorney says that she has demanded a full medical evaluation for Brian after he allegedly fell into the water with police, hurting his knee, leaving him with a limp and an abrasion, she says. We have reached out to the Royal Bahamian Police Force for comment, but have not heard back. Brian Hooker denies the allegations that he had anything to do with his wife's disappearance and what his stepdaughter has said in interviews about him. Joining us now to talk more about this case is Mauricio Padilla. Always great to have you here on Law and Crime. Thank you for being with us. Just a fascinating...
Now, I am going to let this... Usually I don't like to go too far on these with the Law and Crime stuff. Let's just hear what they have to say about it. But I like what Mauricio says. I think it's very interesting. And I think it's kind of important. He points out quite a few flaws and things. Like, I'm not a boater. You know, I'm not someone who fucks around in the Bahamas. So I don't really know. This is not my scene of expertise, is water sports, water stuff. I don't get on boats. I don't like boats. I don't go on cruises. I don't know much about them. I like basketball now, though. And I like Don Marie. Love you, Don. So let's see what Mauricio has to say.
Case. Obviously, a lot of dynamics are at play here. I know that laws in the Bahamas may be a little different than what we have in the United States. But But I just think of like what, clearly a murder charge, and we're not at that point yet. At the time we're recording this, he hasn't been charged with anything, but it's like, how do you prove? I think that's the thing, is like, how do you prove that this is something more than what he is claiming to have happened?
Right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. It's going to be the totality of the circumstances. For instance, did he have life insurance on her? Were they having problems? Are there text messages from back and forth, fighting? Is there email evidence of him having an affair with somebody else? That type of case is how they're going to build a murder case with something like this. If it's a situation where none of that exists, and he, let's say, for instance, and I don't know what happened here, I'm just talking hypothetically, just decided to kill her and push her off the boat, then it's going to be extremely difficult to prove. If he doesn't make a statement, he's already lawyered up. I'm assuming that the Bahamians would ask him to take a polygraph examination. I counsel my clients not to, because in my experience, it can only hurt you. But thank God I've never been in the position, to suffer a tragedy like this in my own personal life. But sometimes I think that if something like that were to happen in my own personal life, I wouldn't take my own opinion, and I would want to take a polygraph that would clarify certain issues. Even if it sounds a little bit, crazy for me to say that, if your wife dies, some people would immediately, take a polygraph to clear their name. Also, the boat, like the actual boat, they were on a dinghy, but they were living on a bigger boat. The forensic examination of that boat, because if he did murder her, there's a high percentage that he would have done that on the boat. So luminol inspection, is there his body? Is there any damage to his body? His knuckles? Was there a fight? Scratches? It's just, looking at that dinghy and seeing that there are people that had a lot of experience on the water. I don't understand, excluding an emergency situation, how you would be on that boat in those types of conditions. That's a big thing that he's going to have to explain.
Right, because it was I know it's 18 to 20 knots in like nautical terms, but we're talking like 25 mile per hour winds. Like that's a gust for sure. And it's been reported. I know that they had a 2015 domestic incident. Charges weren't filed. The stepdaughter has been very public that this was a marriage that did not look like it did on social media, like as if it was perfect. But it's still like it comes to that. How does she go into the water? Like, how much does the past actually matter? Like, they could be the most toxic people in the world, and like people have toxic marriages, but like it doesn't end in a murder. Like, how much does that actually make its way in to a criminal investigation like this, that they have the best of times, but they also had some very bad times, according to family members?
Right. Well, listen, it's definitely part of the investigation. When you're talking about a trial, that's something else. But an investigation, you can look into anything, and they are going to look into, their history. They're going to look into everything. So the issue is this: they've been living on a boat, so they may not be texting each other back and forth. There's no need for it. I'm literally living with you in a closed space this entire time, which is some people could say that it's even evidence for like a boiling pot. Like, if you're not getting along and you're in the tight quarters of a vessel like that, it could, tensions could rise to the point that there was violence. He's really going to have to explain why they were on that dinghy, because it's not something that's even feasible. Like, you're talking about 25 mile an hour winds, man. That's like, the boat's got to be sinking for you to be putting yourself in a dinghy like that in those types of conditions. So that's a real red flag right there.
Could he be in trouble? Let's just say, and there's so many hypotheticals at this point, but it's like if he was the one having them go out on the dinghy, like he was the one who's like, we got to get back to the boat, and then that ends up being a place where you have some sort of accident that happens and she still falls off. Like, could he still face charges?
Arguably there could be something like if you take steps that are, completely disregard safety and they're wanting,
I absolutely think that there's also a reason they were kind of far out away from, I don't think anybody saw them on it at the time. I think there's a reason for that, though, because normally they socialize with people on the island, apparently. That's what people are saying. And yeah, I mean, me and Dylan lived in a 300 square foot apartment at one point about 10 years ago when we met. When we moved in together, it was 295 square feet, both of us, for 2 years. And I am shocked that neither of us pushed the other in front of a car. But we did it. We got through it. I didn't toss him off a boat, you know? I think this guy could have trucked through it a little longer. I mean, they had an island close to them. Go stay somewhere. Like, you don't need to kill her. That's crazy. Also, Lori Marie, oh my God. I'm so sorry you're going through that. 49 years of shit. So for someone like me, that sounds awesome. I'm all about, like, let me go through all this old shit. But when it's someone close to you, you know what I mean? It's like, oh God. I would find your weird friend that's into going through people's stuff and invite them over while you're clonopined. Find a friend who likes to go to thrift stores and ask them to help. They'll do it. Shit, I'll do it. Where are you, Lori? I'll come over and go through all that shit. I'm also weird. I don't like to smell things that smell bad, but if it's like an old person who passed, I'm gonna sniff the trunk. You know what I mean?
You commit some egregious error and you put her life in danger. There could be like an involuntary manslaughter charge. I don't know, in Bahamian law has similar statutes, but if you take into if you don't take safety into consideration and you take steps that are extremely sloppy and wanton and things of that nature, there could be criminal charges. Just like if you're driving a car, drag racing and somebody dies, or things of that nature. So there could be.
I think for him, and it's like, I don't know what I would do in that situation. I don't think anybody does. So it's always hard to like second guess people on what he released was very, very, it seemed like a lawyer had written it. I don't know if a lawyer did, but it was very, just kind of professional in the way it was written. He's not someone who went out on camera saying like, please help me find my wife. I know he was, someone from CBS News came up and talked to him on the island and he didn't want to say anything like that. And I don't think he's ever had like media experience like this before. But like, how would you advise a client to act in a situation like this? And I'm talking before the arrest, when she was missing at that point.
At that point, I would just say, I would advise him, to leave the media to the attorney at that point, because honestly, there's nothing that's going to quench the thirst, for justice. People are going to think that there was foul play, period. There's nothing that he could say to the media that is going to satisfy people. So in that case, I would just say, don't say anything, because there really is nothing that he could possibly say. The fact that he was on that dinghy, the fact that we're talking about 25-mile-an-hour winds, that you're not going to own that. So when you put yourself in front of the camera to try and justify the unjustifiable, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So I would advise him, don't even talk, because the public opinion has already been cast against you. So anything that you could say is probably going to be used against you.
And then just like when you hear his story and the way that he tells it, like, hey, we were in some rough waters, the wind blew her away. Just what stands out to you about that story? And it seems like, there's people who will always speculate, a husband said his wife fell into the water. And then, especially in the true crime world, people just start thinking to foul play automatically. But just what about his story at this point? I mean, clearly it was enough for law enforcement to detain him, arrest him in their words. Just what stands out to you?
So many people hate organizing. I hate the idea of doing it, but then I get into it and I like it. And I found that the way to get into it with organizing and shit is to just start. And I know that sounds crazy, but staring at it just festers. It makes it worse. It makes you think about it. Do you remember that phrase, don't think, just do? And also, just do, spill your guts in here. I don't care. You guys can talk about all your problems. I don't care. Have fun. Talk about whatever you need in the chat. If you're having a bad time, have bad time and let everyone know I'm fucking pissed. And here's why. Here's all my problems. It's fine. I don't care. Go for it. Maybe someone in here relates. And then they have some good advice. If I'm ever giving a presentation and you guys want to talk about something that's not about that presentation, it's fucking fine. You can totally ignore me. I feel like half of the audience in comedy is there to black out and ignore. They're just staring at a stage. They're not actually there because they like comedy. They laugh because other people are laughing. And they're just thinking about other things anyway. I can't police everyone's thoughts. But if you feel the need to talk, it's not like comedy in that you're not interrupting me. That's what chat's for. Now, if you were on the screen doing that shit, openly talking around me like it's fucking Nancy Grace, and then I'm constantly interrupting you and it's just a mess, fucking, that would be annoying for you guys. That's not fun to watch. But part of the reason we even watch people talk on the internet to begin with is to block them out. Background noise. I'm fine with being background noise. So if you guys want to talk about stuff in the chat that has nothing to do with this, I don't give a fuck. I know it offends some people, not me. I'm happy you chose me to be background noise. Thank you. Also, this guy totally did it, in my opinion.
About the story that Brian Hooker's been saying.
What do you think?
I mean, first, in addition to why you were even on the dinghy, yeah, you threw her a floating device, and then what? I mean, some people would say, I would rather be floating in the water with my wife than being on the dinghy. Some people, you know what I mean? I'm going down with her. So at some point, you abandoned it and left her, right? So you threw her a dinghy, the boat, you're separating from her, you're trying to get to her. Some people would say, you left her there. So, and listen, thank God I've never been put in that position, and it's very difficult to even opine. But at the end of the day, you left her there. Whether or not your life was in danger or not, there's some people that would have said, I'm going to die trying to save her, which he did.
And just as a criminal defense attorney, if you're facing a case where it's kind of just the totality of the circumstances, like that's the evidence you're facing, and if this goes down that route where, he has his truth, his words, which is it was an accident. She fell in, she had the keys, she was the one who was driving. I had to paddle ashore. But then you have all this history. You have family members alleging some really bad stuff against him. Family members who are alleging that they were heavy drinkers and things got bad when they got drunk. Like, is that the type of case a criminal defense attorney feels good about, where truly the only person who knows what happened on that dinghy at this point is Brian Hooker?
Yeah, listen, it's not the kind of case that a criminal defense attorney is going to feel good about just because of the optics of it. One of the questions is she had the keys to the dinghy on her, right? Is that what he's saying? The keys to the dinghy?
Yeah.
So, but wouldn't the keys to the dinghy be needed to actually operate the dinghy? So at what point are you on this little micro, because that's a micro boat, right? Like that's a micro dinghy. So you're on this very small boat. At what point are the keys in her pocket and not in the boat? Like, my understanding of so how I end up on her and she went overboard. So, and I know that there's a long time delay from her falling overboard and him, I guess, rowing ashore. So I don't understand how it is that the keys are not part of the boat and on her when she falls in. That's something that he would have to explain to law enforcement and to myself. That's one of the main questions that I would want to answer.
Yeah, I was having that thought as well. Like maybe it's like a jet ski where you have like the kill switch where it's attached, and then if you fall off, like it kills the engine, but it still seems like something on a dinghy. I don't know how much force it would take to actually pull it out of the ignition, but there's just a lot of questions that I'm sure. I know he interviewed with police for like 3.5 hours and he's doing more interviews today. We'll see if charges are eventually filed in this case. Mauricio Padilla, criminal defense attorney. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thank you for your expertise on this. It's a fascinating case. That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and we're also streaming on Peacock. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.
Okay. So that's the Bahamas mystery. That's what's going on there. Oops. I made myself disappear. You guys couldn't see it though, because I wasn't up. So, in my opinion, for entertainment purposes only, he totally did it. In my opinion, for entertainment purposes only, she can do better. In my opinion, for entertainment purposes only, we should get a boat and help Lori. I hope he goes to jail. He sounds like an abusive fuckface, and I don't care how drunk she was. If she's hitting you, you jump off the boat and swim away. You know? He's just so much bigger than her, you know? If he's hitting her, there's not much she could do. She's probably gonna lose because she's smaller. They did arrest him. He's got an attorney. He's ready to go. And it's the Bahamas. People get away with a lot of shit there. So I do hope that they take into consideration the totality of this, including how ridiculous some of it sounds. No key, no life jackets, no cell phones, bad weather, all of it. It is. I'm very allergy infested. It's been a rough month. And there's pollen everywhere, so that's fun. Okay. So done with that. We will be checking on that case, though, to see what happens with this fella. So this is just a quick one. And I don't have any videos to show you on it, but I want to tell you guys, just let you know, that with the David case, this guy Neo, who was like his best friend, who spent every day with him, apparently, oddly, shortly after Celeste disappeared, this kid gets arrested in the Midwest. I think it was like Wisconsin or Montana, something like that, somewhere cold. And he ends up in the grand jury for the Celeste case. He spoke like 30 or 40 minutes. They do believe that he pled the fifth on damn near everything, allegedly. And yet he's in jail for something. And a lot of people are saying that it had to do with, or I believe the grand jury may have, or the court may have even already assessed that it could have been something that had to do with the case, in that he obviously was on the grand jury, right? But that it could be to do with tampering with the body. And that is apparently, according to Steve Fisher, and I looked it up, and it is true, a misdemeanor in LA. Like, you can help dispose of a person's body, and it's a misdemeanor, which is insane. It's kind of unbelievable. But he also came out recently and repeated that he found that weird burn cage in the house when he was surveying it, because Steve Fisher was hired as a PI by the owner of the house that got search warranted, that they went through and they swept. They took a bunch of evidence, but they didn't take this weird burn cage that was huge. And it seems that the court may have incidentally, through records that were supposed to be sealed that weren't, admitted that she was in fact dismembered. A 14-year-old girl with an adult man who is yet to be arrested. And what's wild is, in the midst of all of this, we seem to now know for sure that this burn cage was not entered into evidence. It was never picked up in the search warrant, which is wild as fuck, because it doesn't belong to the owner, and Steve Fisher knows that because the owner hired him. So David, while living there, had a burn cage that was never picked up by police. Celeste allegedly was dismembered. And simultaneously, we have this guy who people online say could be David's boyfriend. He was a very androgynous human being with like blonde hair. He's Asian, he's tall, he's skinny. He dresses very much like David. He's into the TikTok music creators that do kind of not really it's emo, but it's weird. It's a different kind of it's almost K-poppy, but not really. It's this weird kind of eclectic underground type of music. Let's just say that. And that guy's arrested, and it's possible that there's going to be a misdemeanor charge of criminal culpability for tampering with a body, potentially. And on top of all that, this is the newest update that's insane to me. 2 girls have come forward and stated that essentially they were seeing David in a romantic way prior to Celeste and are also young. They were young. They were around her 13, 14, claiming that he trapped them in a house at one point in time, that he was grooming them as minors sexually. And to top that off, the LA police turned them away. They didn't give a shit, allegedly, according to them. And we still don't have a charge, even though she was a missing girl who was provedly with him in pictures where he's got his arm around her. It's obvious they're intimate. They talk about getting married. There's a ring on her finger on burner accounts that it's definitely her with him in the custody of an adult while she's a missing active child, an active missing child case, and yet no charges yet. On top of that, there are young girls in Houston, in his zeitgeist, that have interesting histories with him that could potentially be criminal. And the LAPD police are doing, or the LA Sheriff's Department are doing nothing to respond to the girls who claim that he trapped them, was very clingy, and was an adult, most importantly, while they were children, trying to get with them, allowing them to be with him. Not only that, encouraging it. So it's hard to believe that it's gone on this long and that there's been no arrest in the Celeste case. If not for her murder, for grooming a minor, for helping her when she was missing to be missing. It's like harboring a fugitive. If you're harboring a missing child and you're grooming them, doing sexual stuff with them, she is a child. She cannot consent. There's proof of that. Everyone has seen it, and it's real, and it's authentic. So how have they not arrested him? I have no idea. It's infuriating. But that's the update going on in the Celeste case right now. I will keep watching it. I do plan on doing a whole episode about it, and I'm very interested in this culpability for tampering with a body charge, because if you're pleading the fifth, yet you're going to simultaneously accept a misdemeanor for tampering, then you knew that she was dead, and you do have more information, and you are withholding it. It shouldn't be a misdemeanor for this neo fuckface. But even with that, if there was tampering, how is David not charged? Because that proves another link to David, in addition to photos, to obvious social media evidence, to evidence from cell phones. Like, they could easily go in, take his phone, and see all of his texts for harboring a runaway or a missing child. In addition to grooming And really, he should be labeled a sex offender. I will, Laura. Thank you so much. If she was with child, she's not. She was not. They did the DNA test. She was not pregnant. It's not who you know, it's who you blow. Thank you, darling. Thank you. They can only press civil charges, but they can't yet because it's ongoing. But at the same time, what's wild is they can't press criminal charges. That's something that the police have to do. And keep in mind, there's a lot going on in that community with ICE that makes it very difficult. Considering her parents are immigrants, like, makes it very difficult for them to, I guess, trust the police. The media definitely smeared them a lot. I think that law enforcement already has everything they need on David, but for fear of his attorneys, they won't say until they're 100% sure. Possibly. They also have his manager, remember? And the manager did not have good things to say. So that's interesting. Okay, now on to Nancy Guthrie. This is the last thing that I want to talk about before we discuss. Well, let's do Sandra Birchmore real quick. So prosecutors said that there's evidence, and they did this in a court filing, that supports that Farwell shouldn't be allowed bail because he's trying to get bail right now, or trying to get out on bond or whatever. And they're trying to prove that he presents a serious flight risk. And because they had to have that hearing, they had to present why he is a flight risk. And the reasons that they gave are shocking. They're shocking to somebody who knows the case, but they're more shocking once you realize that they've actually already confirmed that Matthew Farwell was not the father. It was actually his twin brother of Sandra Birchmore's baby. So after that, it's a little like, oh, but then we have video of Matthew going into her apartment. But what was revealed in this hearing was that this young girl who was groomed by an officer and then groomed by his brother and other officers as she matured and got older, and used essentially, and she became pregnant, and one of her friends called up to the police. She was upset about the situation because the one who they thought at the time she got pregnant with, Matthew Farwell, had a wife and he had a baby on the way. And there is video evidence of him going into her apartment when she's alive, and then he leaves and she's dead with a rope around her neck, and they called it suicide. And the same cops who worked on Karen Reed's case were also involved in that case. And to find out that it was his twin brother's baby was shocking. But even though they declared it a suicide and did not do anything appropriate in her case as far as investigating it, just like Karen Reed's, they may as well have brought a fucking snowblower in that apartment. The defense on his side says it was a suicide and maintains that, and that's why he's not a flight risk. And the medical examiner said it was a suicide because they're an inept piece of shit. And again, these are the same people who worked a lot of failed cases, so keep that in mind. Essentially, the defense says that it's a suicide and they worked it fine and everybody needs to chill. But in order to prove that he's a flight risk, they had to give up some goods. Like, this is why. And what they gave up is that not only did he brutally murder Birchmore, but he strangled her with a ligature in order to prevent information about his crimes from getting to law enforcement. That this makes Farwell dangerous, and a preponderance of the evidence shows that he is both a risk of further obstruction and a risk of flight. And that's what the prosecution stated in the filing. Farwell wants to get out on bail. It's going to be 50 grand is what he thinks is appropriate. That's what his lawyers are fighting for. They're asking for him to be released. Excuse me. And they said that he demonstrated that he's not a danger to the community. But in the court filing from the prosecution, they said that an the court filing from the defense said that an unidentified person is the biological father, not Farwell or his brother. And he is named as a defendant in the civil suit. Now, we were told that it was his brother, so now I'm confused. At this point, I'm like, okay, so that's not true. Excellent. And I'm walking you through what I've seen of the case. I'm a little confused as to why that news came out to begin with. But basically, the DNA evidence from the crime, this is the new shit, links to Farwell, who entered the apartment, she's alive, leaves, she's dead. I mean, it's simple, right? It makes sense. When the filing came out April 6th, it says that the DNA evidence ties Farwell specifically to the murder weapon and the crime scene. What does that mean? This is quoted from that court paperwork. While Farwell correctly states in his memorandum that his DNA was not found under her fingernails, he fails to mention that Farwell's DNA was found on the ligature that tied Birchmore's neck to the closet door handle. The presence of Farwell's DNA on the murder weapon, i.e. the strap used to asphyxiate Birchmore, is, of course, highly inculpatory. They also said that Farwell's DNA was found in her underwear at the time of death, and that he lied to the investigators when he told them that the last time he had sex with her was in 2020. Not only did he lie, he perjured, technically. Prosecutors said that there was evidence of his state of mind before he murdered her. And what they presented to the court was that approximately, and this is quoted from it, 2 weeks before Birchmore's death, the coworker and Farwell, they were eating at a restaurant. The witness told Farwell that he looked stressed, and Farwell indicated that he was having relationship problems with a woman other than his wife. When this witness asked if they could help, he said the problem was going to take care of itself. I mean, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? So a month ago, it came out that the DNA did not match Farwell for the baby. Then it came out, or a long time ago, it came out that it didn't match Farwell. Then a month ago, I read that it was the twin brother. And now it seems that there's a third individual. And when I read that it was a twin brother, this is around the time that we also found out that there were domestic violence charges. He caused a scene with his wife and was being real crazy. And she had to call the cops and was like standing in the yard. So now it seems there's now a third person, which is something I didn't know. That now they're saying it could be. Again, this is what the defense is saying. Are they lying or not? Yeah, the boss. I wonder if that's the third person. Because remember, they made him get up and speak to the court and testify. And he absolutely said that he had nothing to do with any of it. Yeah, it was Chief Divine. And he's like, you know, he's playing the I had no idea. No, it wasn't like that. Everybody had a normal conversation. It wasn't what you think. And so now it turns out that they're all lying, obviously. But regardless, Matthew thought the baby was his. He entered the apartment. She was alive. He left. She's dead. And then right after, he went to the birth of his child with his wife, who had no idea he was doing all of this. Before that, her friend had called, the victim's friend called the police station, essentially according to almost every single fucking person out there. She's like, yo, you're fucking over my friend. This guy's fucking over my friend. This cop is being a fucking dick. He's cheating on his wife. He's fucking over my friend. Matthew took offense to that, found it very threatening. Presumed that the baby was his. Went to her apartment. She's alive. Leaves. She's dead. Goes to the birth of his own unborn child. It comes out later that the baby's not his, but she's already dead. The problem takes care of itself, he said. Meanwhile, you find out there was shit with the brother. There was shit with another guy, apparently. And everybody likes to blame her and say, wow, she was this promiscuity. I don't give a fuck who. I don't care if you're a sex worker. I don't care if you're having sex with everyone. I don't care if you're having revenge sex to get back at someone who is known to be violent. I don't care if it doesn't matter. You don't deserve to die. No one gets to murder you. And then to victim shame as if she wasn't groomed into this shit. Yeah, he was. And they were all in the Explorers program. And these kids looked up to them. It's true. It really does. I wish I did too. If they even talk. Seems like all these people are now turning on each other. And I'm just interested, when is brother going to turn against brother? It's a very Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes situation. Stardust Gold Dust over here. But either way, throw them all in jail. Swallow the keys. Fuck them. We can never blame the victim and shit like this, especially when she's been groomed since childhood. Disgusting. But the biggest takeaway from all of that is his DNA is on the rope, the ligature. That's huge. I'm losing my voice, so I probably have to go. We'll pick up talking about Nancy Guthrie tomorrow. It can wait. There's quite a bit to that, but here's what I'll say. Go watch the Nancy Guthrie, the interview with Brian Etten and Ann Burgess about Nancy Guthrie. The whole takeaway from that I found important was Ann Burgess, a la Mindhunter. Yeah, William is the one that's in Arizona, and he had a domestic violence issue where he was throwing shit and going crazy in the house, and then his wife ends up on the lawn with the kid. It's disturbing. But here's the thing. Brian Etten interviewed Ann Burgess recently, a la Mindhunter, about the case with Nancy, and she said something so interesting. She said, elder kidnapping is so rare that we can't profile it yet. Like, so few of those have happened that I have no profile there. It's unprofilable at this point in time, which I've never heard her say before. But that's essentially what she says. That's how rare it is. And I found it very interesting because I also agree, like, why would you? The only reason would be collateral for kidnapping, because other than that, having to take care of an elderly person is very difficult. And they often feel bad and feel like a burden, and you have to tell them, no, I love you, But the idea that someone's going to kidnap someone and hold them who's hard to take care of just to get money from someone, it's risky. It's just not something that happens. So when they asked Anne, do you have a profile? She had none. And I thought that was so fascinating. He does a great interview with her. He asks her a ton of questions. I highly recommend watching it. I will link it below. But I am losing my voice, so I do have to go. But I love you guys. You're all the best. Thank you so much for being here. I hope things go well for you. You're all on the weed. Okay, the Dow is up. I'm going to leave you with this. This reminds me of all of you. My friend Pat is out of the hole, so that's great. But this reminds me of all of you. Good night.
I'm not quite sure why I'm here or what I'm doing, but there's a reason.
Ma'am, we're discussing the rezoning for the Portillos. Do you have any comments on that?
For what?
We're discussing the rezoning on 53rd for...
Well, I live on 63rd.
Again, we're here to hear comments about the rezoning.
Well, I don't like Facebook, and I don't like the internet because I can't find a job. The library blocked my password. Now tell me, does that make any sense to you?